Alright, we're going to be studying Chapter 4 today. The title is Evaluating Fitness Activities. Let me move this thing to the bottom of the screen. Alright, so here we go. Our objectives today. We're going to learn the benefits and advantages of selecting different aerobic activities. We're going to learn how to rate these based on their benefits, and then evaluate how skill-related fitness contributes to these activities. We're going to seek to understand the sequence of a standard aerobic workout and learn just different ways to enhance our aerobic workouts. So, first off, when we choose an exercise, I can't stress this, the most important thing is personal enjoyment. If you don't enjoy what you're doing, you need to find something else to do. Because if you don't enjoy it, you won't stick with it. And if you don't stick with it, you won't see the health benefits that we need to have to live a long, healthy life. Second to personal enjoyment is convenience. If it's just too inconvenient, there will be too many barriers for you to get this exercise done. If you want to ride a bike, but you live in some super hilly neighborhood that has no sidewalks, and there's traffic all the time, you just won't end up riding your bike. And if that's the only thing you want to do, then you probably won't be able to get it done. So if it's not convenient, you should probably try to choose something else for your exercise to meet these standards. And thirdly is availability. If it's not available, then you just can't do it. So first is personal enjoyment. We need to enjoy what we do for exercise. It needs to be convenient and available to us. Thankfully, in the world we live in today, there's a lot of gyms around all over the country and all over the world. So availability is there, but maybe it's not what we really enjoy or most convenient. So people who choose a form of exercise that they personally enjoy are more likely to keep their willpower intact for the remainder of the day. If you're forced to do something you don't enjoy, like burpees for instance, where you have to jump on the ground and then jump back in the air, if you really don't enjoy that, it might start your day in a bad mood. But if you love running and you get to run 2 or 3 miles, you might be happy for the rest of the day. So, most popular exercises, first on the list is walking. Very simple, very convenient. You can walk anywhere in the world. If you see the bottom, golf, swimming, basketball, those all require a specific setting. You can't play basketball or true basketball without the court and the hoops. You can't swim without a pool or an ocean or a lake. And you can't golf really without the golf course and clubs and golf balls. So, very easiest thing is walking. Second is yard work. Third is strength training. All things that are very common no matter what state or what city you live in. Our traditional fitness activities. First is walking. It's natural. We do it to get anywhere we go. It's easy, safe. It doesn't cost any money. All it takes is effort. It improves your cardiorespiratory fitness if you walk at speeds 4 miles per hour or faster. If you want to get a gauge for how fast that is, go to a treadmill and set it up to 4 miles per hour. And you'll get a gauge that it's not the pace we normally walk at. When you see the people walking in the airport or subway or train station and they look like they're power walking, they're probably close to 4 miles per hour. The way you walk to class when you wake up at 7:59 and it's an 8 o'clock class, if you're a good student and you try to get there on time, that'll probably be more like 4 miles per hour. Third is inactive people should start walking 1 mile walks. Short enough where they can get it done, long enough that they feel like they got some work in. 4 to 5 times per week. As the weeks go on, gradually increase the time. If you're new to exercise, this is a great way to start. Walking alone will make you feel a little better, might even make you more productive during the day, and it's not going to be too much time out of your normal routine. If for some reason walking hurts your back, you have ankle, knee, hip issue, Another great place to walk is in chest-deep water. If any of you have been wading in a creek or played Marco Polo in a pool, you realize how hard it is to walk or run in water. So it can be just as beneficial as walking on the land. Next, we have jogging. It's one of the fastest ways you can improve your cardiorespiratory fitness. We recommend 3 to 5 times a week. Now, the risk of injury is going to be a lot greater than walking because you have quicker movements, you have time where both feet are off the ground. So, if you're a beginner, start with walking and then gradually increase to light jogging. It also requires a good pair of shoes. A lot of people get injuries in their feet, their calf, their knees, their hips, even their back because of the improper footwear. So having a good pair of shoes is very key if you want to take up running or jogging as your form of exercise. The way to work around this is deep water jogging. Like we mentioned in the last slide, if you have an injury or back problem, it's a great way to take stress off your body but still get the benefits, especially for someone who might be overweight or obese. They carry a lot of weight on their joints and their joints might be a little achy. This is a good way for them to get exercise and kind of take some stress off their joints but get their heart rate up and stress their cardiorespiratory endurance. Strength training is the third mode we're going to talk about. It's one of the strongest trends worldwide fitness. This past summer we got to see the CrossFit Games. CrossFit has been a great sport to introduce and popularize strength training among this nation and among the world. It's not just for bodybuilders like the old conception used to be. It develops and maintains muscular fitness, health, and functional capacity in adults. It can't be stressed enough that all people need to have strength training in their normal routines. Not because of looks, not because they want to be the strongest person in their family or the strongest person at school or the strongest person at work, but because the health benefits you get will maintain over your life and you'll stay functional, have less injuries, and have a more productive life because of the strength within your muscles. It also develops and maintains muscular strength and endurance in your midlife and throughout your aging process. You just don't see 80-year-old people lifting 300 pounds, right? It's crazy to think about. Aging happens to everybody. So, the best advice as someone in their youth, 20s, start taking up this good habit now so that when you're in your 50s, 60s, 70s, you already have a foundation laid so that you can be healthy as an aging adult. Aerobics and group cardio classes. These are great ways to have fun and have an upbeat opportunity. Aerobics is a series of exercise routines performed in music. You have high impact aerobics, which takes a lot of vertical force on the feet. So a lot of jumping. Think about the old jazz aerobics that you see on the TVs where you had people in these crazy leotards and all these bright fluorescent colors. Think of that as like high impact aerobics. They're jumping and going a little crazy. And we compare that to low impact aerobics where you're always going to have one foot on the ground. So high impact, be a lot more jumping and moving around. Low impact, you always have one foot. Now we move on to step aerobics. Step aerobics is just as simple as it sounds. You have a step in front of you. It can be from 2 inches all the way to 10 inches, maybe even 12 inches, depending how tall you are. It's high intensity, but low impact. Since you always have weight on that step or on the floor, your joints don't receive a bunch of blows like you would if you were jumping or if you were running. So step aerobics is a great way to have high intensity, to move your body weight around, to have fun, but also be low impact. Next, we have moderate impact aerobics. They incorporate plyometric training. Plyometric training you see a lot of times in sports. Plyometric, by definition, is a short contact time with your foot on the ground. So it requires quick, forceful recovery from all lower body flexion actions. Flexion just means that Your shoulders are getting closer to your knees, so that would be your body flexing. Think of it like if you were about to jump up to a basketball goal. You kind of bend down first and then jump straight up. That would be a jump. A plyometric training would be when you land, you jump right back up again. It's good for sports that require quick jumping activities. But just be aware, plyometric training is called training for a reason. It's used to train in sport for a specific goal. If you're just a regular exerciser, plyometric training might not be the safest or the most appropriate exercise for you. So just take that into consideration because it does have a high injury risk. Swimming. It uses many major muscle groups. Mainly the muscle group used are going to be upper body. You see swimmers that have a strong upper back, a strong chest. It's a great option though for those who can't jog or walk for extended periods of time. Very low risk, you're not going to have any contact as long as you don't hit your head or stub your toe. The maximal heart rate, because it's more upper body based and because you're floating, it's going to be lower than running. It just is basic physiology or how the body works. To get the best workout though, you need to minimize kind of your gliding time, which means when you dive in the water and you go out as far as you can before you take your first stroke, you want to minimize that if you actually seek fitness benefits. Most of the work is going to be done with your upper body muscles, so that also has to be taken into consideration that your legs might need a little extra work if you're looking for whole body training. Next we have water aerobics. They incorporate rhythmic arm and leg actions while you're in the water, submerged waist or even armpit deep. The water provides the resistance. Moving in the water, it's a fluid, but it's a dense fluid that requires a lot more action. It contributes to cardiorespiratory development with virtually no impact, and your maximal heart rate is going to be lower than running, again, because your body's just not bearing the same amount of weight on the joints. So your heart's not working as hard, and there's not as much impact on the body. Cycling is a good exercise for people with lower body or lower back injuries. You don't have any contact every time your foot cycles through. There's no impact on the joints. It's non-weight bearing. You develop cardiorespiratory system, muscular strength, and especially leg endurance. It does require some skill and proper bike settings. Safety is a key issue when you're on the road as well. Cycling, when you're on the road, you need to follow a lot of rules, same as motorists do. If you look in your book, page 108 has a lot of great tips here for if you're biking. So use that as a reference if you're thinking about taking up cycling for exercise or for sport. Some suggestions we have. Use your hand signals. When I was a kid, I didn't ride my bike much on the street because my mom was a little paranoid about that. But when I did, she always made sure I used my hand signals. The reason I obeyed her was because one time I didn't, and I got a tongue lashing because I didn't use my hand signals because she was watching me. It's simply holding your hand up at 90 degrees or just holding it out to the side. And again, you can reference your book and the internet for the hand signals. Select the right bike and definitely wear a helmet. Make sure you're not alone if you don't have to be, but just don't ride side by side. Always be aware that vehicles may turn, so even if they're at a stoplight, don't just zoom right by them because they might be waiting to turn without their blinker. Also, watch for storm drains or any other hazards that might be in the road. Always wear the appropriate clothes and shoes, and always have a mode of communication with you. Like most of us have, a cell phone would be a great example. And again, riding early in the morning, late at night, or if it's a little dark outside, use a bright light on your bicycle so you can be seen. Now, cross training. It's going to combine 2 or more activities in an exercise program. This is a great way to produce better workouts than just a single activity. It will enhance your fitness and rest tired muscles. So, doing bench press and then going to pull-ups and then going to squats. This cross-training, or even doing squats and then going to run, or doing some pull-ups and then going to run. It can rest the tired muscles while you're still getting work in. It can also decrease injuries and eliminates monotony of single activity programs. The decreases injury may come into effect if you did a lot of bench pressing, let's say. You're a guy and you want to get a big strong chest. Well, if you did a lot of bench press, you might get some elbow pain or some shoulder injury because you didn't work out the other side of the body. So, when cross-training, it could actually decrease your injuries. It can be combined with speed training or strength training depending on your goals. Interval training involves short intervals at faster speeds, and we're going to dive into that later on to this PowerPoint. The next is cross-country skiing. I'm sure if you're all here at Lipscomb University, this is why you came to this school. You want to cross-country ski, and I'm going to tell you why you should. It's going to be a vigorous lower and upper body movement that requires high intensity, but don't worry, it's going to be low impact. It's going to require a lot of breathing, so very high maximal oxygen uptake, which basically means you're going to burn a lot of calories doing it. It requires skill to be proficient. So, if you're going to do it, come to the Kinesiology department, seek instruction from us, and you will fully enjoy and reap its benefits. Rowing. Very low impact. We have some here at the SAC on campus, and they're also all around this city in different gyms and across the world. It's a very low impact activity, provides a complete body workout. You have what's called a damper setting. You have the big wheel, and it's got a scale of 1 to 10 on the typical Concept or Concept 2 rowers, which can manage your workload. Workloads can be regulated for pretty much most machines that you find. Elliptical training and stair climbing also can be found in most gyms that you go to. Very efficient forms of aerobic exercise. It gets your heart rate up, but also is very low impact. Its intensity is also easily controlled depending on your goal for that training session. Racket sports. These are a great way to have fun and exercise and be competitive all at the same time. You have tennis, racquetball, squash, and badminton. Now, the aerobic benefits depend on your skill. If you just can't keep the ball in volley, you're probably not going to get much aerobic benefit out of it. Also, if you're just playing to have fun and you're laughing too much, the intensity is probably not there to see much benefit. And also, if you just play one game to 10, you're probably not going to see any benefit. It's a great way to enjoy and have some social fulfillment while you exercise. And it's also a great way to just relax and not stress about getting your workout in. But it does require continuous play if you actually want to see a fitness benefit to this activity. Yoga. It's designed to help align the musculoskeletal system. In our stressful lives today, and also in our technology-bound lives, we tend to sit a lot, and we tend to have a lot of stress in our muscles. This is designed to help us kind of align our proper placement of all the bones and vertebra in our body. It also helps us develop flexibility and balance. It can be used as a great relaxation technique when we're stressed. There's a lot of different forms of yoga, and if you were in an Eastern setting, they would have a lot of different types they would explain about. It complements a lot of other training that you do. So whether you're a runner, you like working in the weight room, or you do a little of both, yoga will be a great benefit for every person. And even if you don't do any of those, yoga is still a benefit. Now we have high intensity aerobic interval training, also known as HIIT. So it involves 80 to 90% of maximal capacity. Basically, your heart's going to feel like it's pounding out of your chest. Maybe not that intensely, but it's going to be high. The intervals are interspeed between low and moderate intensity and recovery phases. So they give us this little DIRT acronym here. D stands for distance of speed interval. So basically, say you're running. Maybe the speed interval is to run 400 meters. And the I is the interval of recovery between speed intervals. So maybe you rest 30 seconds between. Maybe you're not running though. Maybe you're doing body weight squats. So maybe the R stands for 20 body weight squats. And then the I stands for rest 20 seconds. Or if you're going for time, maybe you do body weight squats for 20 seconds. And then you have 10-second rests. A similar way, following this scale, is what would be called a Tabata timer. 20 seconds on and 10 seconds off. So you would do 20 seconds of squats, have 10-second rest. Then 20 seconds of push-ups and have 10-second rest. And you can fill in any exercise you wanted. So maybe you sprint for 20 seconds and have 10-second rest. And then 20 seconds of push-ups. So the great thing about HIIT training, you can mix and match it every day. So it's a different workout, but yet it's still high intensity and it's still interval training. Some sample programs, like we've already talked about, you could just have 5 minutes, very hard intensity aerobic intervals, and then you take 5 minutes to rest, and you repeat that process. You could have what we call a stepwise intensity, where you go for 1 minute at easy, and every minute you increase the intensity just smallly and over time. Fartlek training. This is seen a lot of times in distance running. So maybe you would run hard for a set distance and then run easy for a set distance. A practical example would be you run 200 meters at a pretty hard pace, and then you run another 300 meters very easy, where you're talking and relax a little bit, and you just repeat that. This would be very similar to tempo training. Tempo training, you would go at a pace and then have a second tempo that would follow it successively, and you could repeat the process. You could have all-out, a super maximal interval training. This is where you would just leave it all out there and go hard in the paint, as they say. Lastly, you have cardio combined with resistance training. So like we've talked about, you could run and then go and do squats. This would be very typical of what we see in CrossFit or some other workout modalities that require resistance training and endurance training. Next, we have the stability ball exercises. The stability ball is seen as a lot of YouTube fail videos and also in a lot of desks that people sit on them. I personally have a stability ball I sit on. They're large, flexible, and can be fun to throw at people all around you. They're inflatable, so make sure they're inflated if you use them. You can sit on them and do different abdominal work. You could do different plank variations off of them. You can work your hip, your chest, different spinal muscles. The primary objective is core strength and also stability. So they're great ways to mix up your training. If planks just get boring, try planking on the ball or putting your feet on the ball. The big thing to be aware of, though, is they do move on you. So just be careful and make sure the environment around you is open. So if you do fall or stumble, that it's safe for you. Then we go into core training. So you condition the muscles of your abdomen, pelvis, lower back, and hips. This core training is very essential to our daily living. We sit a lot, and our core can get very weak. This can cause a lot of pain in our low back, hips, abdomen. So, core training is not just for your six-pack, but for your all-around health. It also is a connection point between your feet and your arms and your head. So, if you have a weak core, it's going to be hard to transfer the strength you have from your legs if you're trying to lift something, or from your arms if you're trying to move something. Then we get to group personal training. So it's individualized instruction in a small group setting. You can go to different group classes and experience this. You might have a standard workout, but you would have a coach working with you through that. And you wouldn't be alone, which can make it more fun and more enjoyable for you. And it can also make it less intimidating if you're going with a friend. You don't have to worry about making your own workout because it's already there for you. You just relax, listen to the coach, and get a good workout in. Then we have outdoor training. This has become a big fad. You can watch Ninja Warrior on TV, but also even more things that get a lot of involvement are Spartan runs and our Tough Mudders. You have obstacle courses and adventure races that people do. So outdoor training is a great way to work on your different endurance and strength skills while also having fun and making it a competition. Next, we have the fitness boot camps. People that like the competition, they like the hard work, and they're looking for a good challenge. It combines calisthenics, running, different intervals, different body weight training, and sometimes even competitive games in the class. It's based on the military-style training, but it doesn't always have to be military-esque. The trainer actually could be kind of nice and could make it enjoyable for you, but yet still very hard. Next, we have our circuit training. Circuit training involves a lot of exercises that you would do sequentially. So from station 1 to station 2 to station 3 and so on. It could be 6 to 12 exercises or anywhere in the middle. It's done in rapid succession. This could also be considered high-intensity circuit training. Next, we have our functional fitness. It's weight-bearing exercise to develop balance, coordination, good posture, muscular fitness, and muscular flexibility. This functionality is what the big trend is in today. Who cares how much you can bench press? If you can't walk up the stairs without losing your breath, then it's not very functional. If you can't stand and balance on while the ship is rocking back and forth on the lake or the boat, then what's the point of your working out? If you can't sit or stand or move with good posture, then maybe you should reconsider your fitness standards. So, functional fitness is very big today. Next, we have dance fitness. This is the one that gets a lot of hard times for males to do, but you get a lot of females that will do this. It's called dance fitness. Zumba. It's hard to get a lot of guys to join the class, but especially here on campus, you'll find a lot of girls enjoy this. You get to have fun and your friends are there, and it's upbeat music, and it's just a laid-back environment. And at the end of the class, you've had a great time, you're sweaty, your heart rate got up, and you felt like you had a good workout. You also have these bar workouts. They're based on ballet-inspired movements. So, the fitness contributes of the aerobic activities vary according to activity and the individual. So, we have what's called our health-related components of physical fitness: cardiorespiratory, endurance, muscular fitness, muscular flexibility, and body composition. You can refer to Table 4.1 in your book to look at these. These are what we call health-related. Everybody should try to meet these standards and work on these things because they're what will keep you healthy, decrease your chance of disease, and increase your chance of aging well and living a healthier life as you get older. So, the nature of activity dictates the potential aerobic development. Beginners need to start with light intensity that carry a minimum risk. This is for multiple reasons. One is beginners might not have enough strength to do things like running long distances, which could lead them to having injuries, which would be harmful for them. But also, having an injury might deter them from exercising again. The state that our country's in with obesity and overweight, exercise is something that needs to be encouraged and adhered to more, not something that we're afraid of doing. So it's always best to start less and then add slowly, then to jump into it and bite off more than you can chew, because that could make you not want to exercise after that. This next term is called a MET, or METs. It stands for metabolic equivalence. Now, to most of you listening to this, you might say, what the heck is a MET? I don't know what that means. Basically, some smart people got together and they calculated the energy needs it took to do a lot of various tasks, from gardening in your yard to making dinner, to walking the dog, to riding your bike, to riding your bike uphill, to lifting weights for an hour. And they've made all these calculations and said it costs so many METs. It's the equivalent of VO2 of 3.5 milliliters per kilogram per minute. It's a way that exercise professionals can track how much you work and how hard a task is. They're given for activities and vary according to effort expended. Basically, all I just said was running uphill is going to cost you more than making dinner. So, if you run, you use more calories. Basically, you use more METs. Now, if you want to dive more and learn into more about exercise prescription and evaluation, you can look in the Kinesiology department or exercise science department and find out more information. Next, we get into our skill-related fitness. This is what we see more in athletics and sport-based fitness. It's needed if you want to be skillful in your task. It requires agility, balance, and coordination. It also requires power, speed, and reaction time. These things are secondary to our health-related components that we talked about previously. First, we need to make sure that people are fit and have muscular endurance and strength before we worry about how powerful they can be, or how long they can balance, or how fast they can react. Because if they can't walk the mile as fast as they need to, how high they jump is really secondary on the priority list. We talk about specificity of training. It all applies to what your goals are. So, the swimmer doesn't need to have the highest vertical jump. And likewise, the football player doesn't need to have the fastest marathon time. The same task is practiced many times per what their event is. So the rate of learning varies from person to person. Some people are going to learn fast about reaction time because they were just genetically gifted with that. Some people aren't. That's okay. But everybody should be expected to meet the basic health standards and to work towards those. Whether you're agile or not, whether you can stand on one leg and hop around a court, or whether you're powerful and can dunk a basketball, is really secondary to our health-related goals. So, leave the skill-related fitness to those who are playing sports or to those who just enjoy it. It's not something that you have to do if you want to be healthy. Team sports, they can deepen commitment to fitness. If you join a gym that has a team mentality, you're probably more likely to stay with it because you have a commitment to the people you're with. People with good skill-related fitness usually participate in a lifetime of sports and games. At this university, you can join intramural sports. It's a great way to have your friends on a team, whether it's volleyball, soccer, football, basketball. You can play a lot of great games and have your fitness worked on while you play. It's a lot of social aspect in team sports. If you have a common interest and common goal, you're responsible, and that is an incentive for you to exercise. It also fosters lifetime friendships. So the experiences you have while playing these sports can stay with you for the rest of your life. So different ways to enhance your aerobic workout. This is typically what we see. If you look at the bottom axis or the x-axis, you see the 0. That's minute 0, our time. So your heart rate is probably where it normally is if you walk into the gym. It's very low. You start a little warm-up. Your heart rate's going to elevate. Your body temperature is going to elevate. There's going to be a lot of things going on. You want to get your heart rate up into above the 60% range. So, the way you figure this out is you take 220 minus your age, and that's going to be your predicted max heart rate. So, say you're 19 years old. 220 minus 19 is going to give you 201. That would be your max heart rate. So, if you take 90% of that, that would be, if you multiply by 0.9, that would be your 90% heart rate. And that would be the top line that you see in the orange. Your goal is to work between 60 and 90% of your max heart rate. That would be considered vigorous intensity. So after you warm up for about 10 minutes, you'd have vigorous intensity for the next 30. And then you would get down to what's called the cool down phase. The cool down is where you let your heart rate relax. You slow down, whether you're running or swimming or cycling, you slow down your rate and let your heart rate slowly drop back down for about 5 minutes. And after that, you don't want to go straight to the showers. You want to take about 10 minutes to stretch and relax a little more, focus on breathing and relaxing, and let that heart rate get back down to where it was when you walked into the gym. So some more tips to enhance your aerobic workout. Monitor the target training zone. Check your heart rate regularly. So it doesn't have to be every 5 minutes. But once or twice during the workout, stop and check your pulse. It can be very quick. You can take your 2 fingers, your pointer finger and your middle finger, and stick them at the bottom of your jawbone in the very back. And you can find your pulse there from the carotid artery. Or even if you're very skilled, you can take it from your wrist. See how many beats you feel in 15 seconds. Multiply that by 4, and that's your heart rate. If it's in that 60 to 90% range, you're there. You're on target. If you can talk during exercise, then you might be below that target. Take pulse immediately after that to figure out where that is. That would be moderate or light intensity exercise. When you perform your cool down, you can take your pulse then as well. Perform at least 10 minutes of stretching. Whether it's after your cool down, which would be preferred, or even after your warm up. Daily stretching is going to be the most effective to improve your flexibility. So if you're struggling to keep up with your exercise program, you might need to adjust your goals. If, for instance, you want to be great at pull-ups, and you can only do 1 pull-up, and you set out for your goal by the end of the semester you want to do 20 pull-ups, it might just be unrealistic, and you might end up frustrated with your training, seeking other means to get stronger, and being disappointed with that. Adjusting your goals to realistic goals can actually get you better results in the long run because you stay positive. Being positive is the key to most things in life, and especially when it comes to exercise. So, take short steps and find success in the little things so that in the end, you'll look back and have a big success once all your little goals are added up. I can't stress how important it is to find enjoyment, but to start slow. Start slow with your workouts. Learn to listen to your body. If you have pain or you push a little too hard, slow down and stop. It's okay. No one's making you do this. Don't feel like you have to do this to please anybody or to please yourself. Pain and undue discomfort, your body's telling you that for a reason. If for some reason you have a pain or an injury, notify someone who can help you. If you're in this class, a great person to notify would be your instructor. They're trained, they have an education in how the body moves and works and can give you some feedback or at least point you to somebody who can help you with that pain. You may avoid potential injuries by paying attention to the pain and making the adjustments. We can always work around things and make exceptions to the rules. But once we push too hard and we hurt something, then it's a lot harder and we have a lot longer road to recovery. Thanks for your attention in this PowerPoint. Chapter 4, Evaluating Fitness Activities. Remember, make sure your exercise is enjoyable. Walking is a great way to start. Just simply 1 mile a day for 4 or 5 days, and just add from there. Make sure you start slow, set realistic goals, and I hope you have a great rest of your semester.